Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Was Bitcoin's mysterious creator a lone genius, a team of cryptographers, or get this, a CIA operative? And if Satoshi were to suddenly return today, what could happen to Bitcoin, or even to the world economy? For over a decade, people have been chasing clues, trying to unmask the shadowy figure behind Bitcoin. But now a new HBO documentary claims to have cracked the code. They say they finally revealed Satoshi Nakamoto, a figure potentially sitting on $60 billion in Bitcoin. And they're on the verge of becoming the world's first trillionaire. But here's what no one is talking about. This documentary isn't really about revealing Satoshi. There is a much bigger story here that everyone is missing, and we're about to expose it. Hey, welcome back. I'm Rustin, head of news at Simply Bitcoin, and you're going to want to stick around to see what we just uncovered. Send it!
We just have to very quickly get a comment from you on the HBO documentary that aired this morning about who is Satoshi.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will basically never know who Satoshi is because there don't seem to be any electronic evidence after people looking for 15 years. You can speculate, the pros and cons of any one of dozens and dozens of early contributors or electronic cash interested people.
HBO's Electric Money has everyone talking in the buzz that they've discovered the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin. But here's the thing. HBO wants you to focus on the identity of Satoshi. It's a classic bait and switch. The idea that they found Satoshi is a hook to get viewers emotionally invested in the story. But the real purpose of this documentary goes far beyond that, and we'll get to more on that later. But from the opening scene featuring Bitcoin's enemies, Jamie Dimon, Nouriel Roubini, and other fiat champions, it's clear HBO is setting up a spectacle. They play into the drama, showing Bitcoin's rise from being mocked to becoming a trillion-dollar asset. But then they pivot hard, trying to pin down the identity of Satoshi, dragging out names like Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, Peter Todd, Adam Back. But honestly, it seems like they lock on to Adam Back most of the film. But for a documentary filmmaker, that's not as interesting or original or controversial enough. The documentary goes on to claim Peter Todd could be Satoshi. Yes, that Peter Todd, the same Peter Todd who denies the claim in the film itself. Now guys, if you know Bitcoin, this narrative feels all too familiar. It's Newsweek 2014 all over again. Remember when they claimed Dorian Nakamoto was Satoshi and the world laughed? Well, this is no different, but the point of the documentary was never to actually reveal Satoshi Nakamoto. That's just too simple, too basic. But the real question we should be asking is, why now and why this documentary? Let's talk about what's really going on here. While HBO focuses on the mystery of Satoshi, they're distracting you from the bigger picture. The timing of this documentary is crucial, especially when we look at what's been happening with the Bitcoin ETFs. The iShares Bitcoin Trust, launched by BlackRock earlier this year, is now the most successful ETF debut in history. In just a few months, it accumulated over $21.5 billion in assets, dwarfing any previous ETF launch you can think of across all asset classes.
IBIT is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs.
So why release a documentary now? Well, it's not just coincidence. The timing is aligned with the growing institutional interest in Bitcoin and the billions flowing into these new ETFs. The hype around unmasking Satoshi is being used to draw more attention to Bitcoin. And it's creating a bit of a perfect storm for retail and institutional adoption. Hear me out for a second. The documentary coincides with some major global events. The Fed is cutting interest rates, which historically pumps Bitcoin to the moon. FTX's billions and billions in payouts are incoming. Not to mention, China is set to ease up on its Bitcoin regulations, and it just unleashed the monetary bazooka, which is also massively bullish. The timing isn't a coincidence. This documentary is part of a larger narrative that's being crafted around Bitcoin's role in the future of finance. But more on that later. First, let's clear up the Peter Todd claim once and for all. HBO spent a significant amount of time in the film trying to build the case that Peter Todd, a prominent Bitcoin developer, could be Satoshi. Now, many people have a lot of respect for Todd, but the idea that he's Satoshi is absurd. The timeline doesn't add up, and there's no solid connection linking Todd to the early days of Bitcoin's creation. The documentary cites emails between Todd and Satoshi, British spelling, and even suggests that Todd might have posed as two different people. It's a fun narrative, but there's no hard evidence. And Todd himself has denied repeatedly, and honestly, the theory feels like a red herring. Truth is, Todd has made some significant contributions to Bitcoin's development, but to suggest he's the man behind the white paper, that's nothing more than speculation and sensationalism. But hey, it's classic HBO tactics to keep you watching. Now let's talk about what's really at stake here. Why make this documentary now? Why all this focus on unmasking Satoshi? Simple. It's about positioning. Positioning Bitcoin as the future of money. You see, by claiming Satoshi is gone forever and his $60 billion worth of Bitcoin is permanently locked away, they are setting the stage for the next bull run. Imagine if 5% of Bitcoin's total supply was effectively removed from circulation. What do you think would happen to the price? Exactly. To the moon. But here's where things get even more interesting. This documentary is building on the idea that Bitcoin is beyond the control of any one person or entity, including Satoshi. It's reinforcing the narrative that Bitcoin is digital gold, scarce, secure, and untouchable. And who stands to benefit the most from that narrative? Well, the very institutions that are quietly amassing large Bitcoin positions right now.
No different than what gold represented over thousands of years. It is a asset class that protects you. Right. And unlike gold, where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of the amount of Bitcoin that we created.
Now, this is the part you've been waiting for, the real story behind electric money. This documentary was never about finding Satoshi. The whole unmasking Satoshi angle, that was the hook. The real power behind this film lies in who's actually pulling the strings. HBO, the network that produced this documentary, is owned by Warner Brothers, right? But do you know who owns significant shares in Warner Brothers? That's right, BlackRock and Fidelity. The same BlackRock and Fidelity that are making big moves in the Bitcoin ETF space. Are you starting to connect the dots? This entire documentary, from start to finish, is designed to push Bitcoin further into the mainstream. It's about getting more people interested, getting more institutional investors on board, and creating the conditions for Bitcoin's next massive bull run.
Bitcoin is now entering the world of exchange-traded funds.
I imagine we're going to start seeing advertising, maybe on CNBC, maybe in the Wall Street Journal and other places, because all of these folks who have these ETFs are desperately going to need customers.
Yes.
Just think about it. These massive institutions already own significant stakes in Bitcoin, and now they also control part of the narrative through media giants like Warner Brothers. This documentary isn't just about the mystery of Satoshi, it's about shaping the future of finance. They're playing a long game, and we're all watching it unfold in real time. We've seen this play before. The media creates hype, the institutions accumulate, and then boom, Bitcoin takes off again. This documentary is just the latest tool in that game, and the truth is, Bitcoin doesn't need Satoshi anymore. The power of Bitcoin lies in its community, its decentralization, and the fact it can't be controlled by any one entity, not even BlackRock or Fidelity. What we need to focus on now is ensuring that we, the freedom-loving Bitcoiners, stay ahead of the curve. We know the system is rigged against us. We know the big players are trying to control the narrative, but Bitcoin is bigger than any of them. It's the future of money, and no matter how many documentaries they make, no matter how hard they try to manipulate the narrative, Bitcoin will continue to thrive. But in order to enjoy the benefits of Bitcoin, you have to take part in the peaceful revolution. With what's coming our way, you need to secure your generational wealth now. Don't wait until after the mother of all supply shocks to find that Coinbase's Bitcoin ended up as a Bitcoin IOU. If you need help securing your generational wealth or starting your Bitcoin journey, you're going to want to check out our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, the Bitcoin Way. Simply Bitcoin Originals are powered by the Bitcoin Way. They bring over 25 years of cybersecurity experience. They are your IT team in the Bitcoin world. They help bridge that gap from the why Bitcoin to the how Bitcoin. And as your dedicated Bitcoin IT team, the Bitcoin Way is here to guide you from start to finish on your journey to properly self-custody your Bitcoin. From your first wallet node to advanced multi-sig security, inheritance planning, and much more, the Bitcoin Way has got you covered. And if you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation using that link below.
Satoshi Nakamoto asked for one thing. from all of us, and that was to be left anonymous. This person did not ask for monetary compensation. They didn't want a Nobel Peace Prize. They didn't want to be listed on the Forbes list. They reiterated over and over and over again, they just wanted to be left alone. Gold doesn't have an inventor. Corn doesn't have an inventor. Aluminum does not have an inventor. Albert Einstein found E equals MC squared. It was out there. It was in the mathematical universe. And same thing with Satoshi. Bitcoin was out there. He found it. He found proof of work plus the difficulty adjustment. He found that. Who cares? It's not as if identifying that person would give them any more control, any more influence, any future direction. Nobody cares, and the one thing they ask for is to be left alone.
Jack Mallers is right, and so was Peter Todd. People are missing the forest for the trees, and it's time to stop the foolishness and focus on the bullishness. Hey, if you found value in this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more high-signal Bitcoin commentary, give us a pap, and spread the sound money gospel. Remember, while the media loves to spin a story, we know the real truth. There's no stopping this train. Hey, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace!
If you prefer to go down with the ship, f*** you.